Hey, what's going on YouTube? We're going to go ahead and do the new trial of the Dragon King, and we're going to do it in 2 turns with a pair of 2Bs. Now, this clear is going to assume that you already did the use an item mission and the use an Esper mission that you could have done just by, like, you know, easy clearing the trial to get 3-star Bahamut. So we're not worrying about Espers and items in this one. We're just worrying about doing the damage in basically all in 1 turn to take out this boss. There is a little bit of RNG to this, so I'm going to try and go into the fight and see if we can't get this done on the first turn. If the boss puts up physical mitigation instead of magical mitigation, which I've come to understand is RNG, then this does not work and you have to reload the fight and come back into it. So if that ends up happening, I'll pause the video and we'll come back into it and make sure we're at a point where the boss has physical mitigation, or magical mitigation instead of physical, and then we'll show you clearing the boss. Had some lovely people in my Discord set up friend units for me. So I had Ephraim's here. Ephraim, my game crashed, and when my game crashed, I lost you as a unit. And so now we've got Antonio here. So Tony, thanks so much, and we'll start taking this out. And then when we're all done, we'll take a look at the gear together. But our team includes Vilk, Ling, Sylvie, Shoreline, Fina, and Daisy, and then our 2Bs. This clear was heavily inspired by Spidey's 3-turn clear with Esther's, but we're doing it in 2 turns. Let's see what we can do here. Go ahead and put up the action cam. Get rid of the words there. Where are the words? There you go. Okay, so we're going to start by having Vilk just go back down to the base form, and he's just going to Ancestor's Presence to reduce damage or reduce resistance to axes and fists. Use Memory of the Ancestral Dragon for a Dragon Killer buff for 2 turns. There we go. And then just use whatever. He could use Steady Crag. It doesn't really matter. Cool. Our Shoreline, Fina, and Daisy are going to use Nereid's Kiss for a re-raise buff, and then use Deep Sea Sorcery. Cool. Our 2Bs are both going to shift up and then use their shifted limit burst and just do some damage. And doing non-elemental damage will help us trigger the boss to go into the next phase of the fight where we're actually fighting. There we go. Ling is going to shift, and she's going to triple. She's going to do a Hunter Stance for a Beast Killer buff, Dragon Dancer to fill LBs, and then a Rallying Dance to fill LB gauge fill rate. There we go. Notice we're about halfway on our LBs. We're totally fine. Our Sylvie's going to shift, and she's going to offense, defense, and then Marion's Blessing Earth. Notice we're doing Earth at the very, very end to make sure that nobody's imbued until the next turn. Okay, we're really close in the LBs, which is good. Fina and Daisy are going to tank the magical damage and then die and come back. Fire, lightning, wind, ray, non-elemental, they come back. And we're good to go. So we got resistance to physical attacks. So naturally this is not going to work. We're going to have to come back, but I'm going to pause the video here, and then we will come back when we have resistant to magical instead. Okay, we're back, and the boss, as you can see, now has boost resistance to magic attacks, which means we can use our physical attacks, and we're going to do just fine here. As well, the boss is resistant or lowered resistance to earth, which we are imbued with and have a nice amp from Sylvie. So we're ready to go. Lots of good stuff going on there. So we're going to shift our Vilk and use his shifted LB here, Rage of the Dracosooth, which is, you know, it's the one that chains with the LB of 2B, which we don't have yet, and that's all right. We're gonna downshift here, and our Shoreline Athena and Daisy is gonna go ahead and give it to us with Healing Ripples. There we are. So we're ready to chain, ready to chain. Our Ling, if we were worried about not surviving this turn, we could use Undying Phoenix on our tank to make sure that they have the re-raise. And Sylvie is going to use Leaping Love to make sure that our modifiers and LB damage is boosted. And then we're pretty much just going to send all of our chainers. And we're going to hopefully take out this boss here on turn 2. So here goes. There you have it. So plenty of damage from our damage dealers. We'll take a look at the damage breakdown here in just a second, and then we will show you the gear and stuff. So you know, our 2Bs obviously carried it. Mine is geared a little bit better than Antonio's, and I'll show you the differences here. It's very minor, but you know, every little bit counts. And then Vilk is also contributing. And let's take a look. Go ahead and skip the story here. And we'll take a look at the gear. So here is our, I can't show you Antonio's, that's okay. I'll go ahead and show you my team. And we'll go from there. Units. So here's our Vilk. In the base form, he's just wearing his STMR, so he can use the skills he needs to. He's wearing the Hio Vision card because we have it. And then in this form, he's just geared for Beast, Dragon, LB damage, True Double Hand, normal stuff for a damage dealer. He's got Indestructible Light. And there you go. Our Ling does not matter in terms of their gear. She just has to have her TMR or STMR so that she can do her triple cast on the first turn. LB fill and all that helps her to use her LB on the next turn if we need it, but we ended up not needing it, so it didn't really matter. But she's kind of geared for whatever. Honestly, this is leftover gear from an old build that I did and left it on here. She just needs her TMR or STMR in whatever form she starts in so that she can triple cast. Very good Ling. Sylvie, again, also does not really matter in terms of her gear, just because our tank covers us from all the damage. So, you know, she's kind of geared like this just cause, and doesn't really need any of it. She does just fine. Both forms for Sylvie is about basically the same. Little differences, but she never countered anyway, so the Blizzard Orb doesn't matter. She doesn't tank anything, so the armor doesn't matter. Like, you know, none of that mattered. This one matters. So she needed to have lightning resistance, wind resistance, and fire resistance over 400 on the first turn, so that she could tank all those hits and then come back with the when she got hit by the atomic ray at the end. So once she uses her her buff, which is deep sea sorcery, she gets a lightning, water, wind buff, and light too, and that pushes her over 400 for lightning, wind, and she already has the 400 fire. So when she gets hit with the 300% debuff from the boss, she's still got 100 and she's fine. And then she just dies to the atomic ray, which nobody can survive, you know, without extreme stuff, because it's major damage from non-elemental, and yeah, can't really do much about it. So as a result, because we did this all on turn 2, she doesn't, her gear in the shift form doesn't really matter, but here she is, she's geared for, you know, fire and then water, or fire, wind, and lightning mainly. And there you go. She's wearing Sylvie's Vision card because we're OP. Here's my 2B. And she's just kind of geared for all the stuff you would want. So she's got True Double Hand, LB damage, Beast, and Dragon at 300%. And then both forms are built this way. She's also got Chain Speed in my build. And then she's wearing her own Vision card. And that's the same in both forms. There you go. Antonio's was just a slight difference. Antonio's was just a little bit lower in terms of attack, because his is not EX3, mine's EX3, so he had like 9,900 something attack. So just a little bit lower, basically built exactly the same. Obviously, we did just fine taking care of it on turn 2. And there you have it. So assuming you've already done the item and the Esper mission, you can get that done using a couple 2Bs and a Vilk and a Sylvie and a Ling, lots of OP units, but we're getting it done in 2 turns. For something that can be quite difficult and annoying if you don't understand how it works, like I did the other night, not knowing how it worked, and now I know how it works. So there you go. Thank you to everybody who set up units for this one. Rooks, Ephrai, Antonio, technically, or Horatio. MK had hers set up, and I already used it when I did the clear the first time. Hers wasn't geared exactly the way we wanted, which is okay because I didn't tell her to. It just ended up working. So lots of folks built 2Bs, and I appreciate that for everybody who did. And then thank you very much to Spidey for coming up with the strategy with using Shoreline Fina and Daisy as a tank, and then these 2 as supporting, and Sylvie's just awesome. So there you go. But there we go. 2 turns, get this thing done. Go get you that medal so you can put it on your profile. All right, take care.